from the crypt.
Hello, boils and ghouls. Welcome to episode 162 of Dads from the Crypt. My name is Jason. I'll be your host tonight. Joining me, we have Jody.
Hello.
Hello.
Good to be back.
Yeah. Mondo's doing some work in the Bahamas, apparently. Some quote-unquote work. That's where they send him.
Either in the Bahamas or Atlanta. I think he's in one of those two places.
Or
and one of them is more exciting than the other, I'll tell you.
Or like backwoods Missouri. It's who knows. But we have the wonderful, crazy, sexy ghoul herself. Welcome, Kimberly.
Hey, everybody.
How we doing?
Having me back.
Oh, yes, please. The last one you were just on for was it Day of the Demon? Day of the Beast. That was it.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a really good movie. I've been thinking about that movie a lot. I definitely think I'm going to watch that this Christmas.
Oh yeah,
double that
Christmas movie.
Double that with Silent Night, Deadly Night. Sounds like a great combo. All right. Well, you obviously, especially with your wonderful shirt, represent the Fangoria Empire. Is there any Fangoria events happening in this spooky month of October that you want to mention?
Yeah. So the Chainsaw Awards is airing on Shudder on Sunday the 13th. So that's something we are all looking forward to. I'm not privy to any top secret information on that. Very excited to watch it. If you're a Fango subscriber, you can join my watch party, and there's some live events around the country, which is kind of fun. This is the first time we're doing it. Pro Fangoria is doing it in October. So that's awesome.
It's the right month for it.
Yeah.
Usually they're like in April.
So. I can see like wanting to spread out throughout the year your events, but yeah. It feels right.
Yes, and we all just went to Fantastic Fest together, where I saw the movie we're going to talk about. Well, part of it. And I got sick during the movie.
Because of what was happening on screen or because of some tacos?
Yeah, I can't watch found footage on a movie screen. I can watch it on my home TV if there's like a grounding base around it, but on a movie screen, especially something like what the Alamo Drafthouse has, it's too immersive and I just drown.
I do remember getting sick watching the Blair Witch Project way back. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I was about 8 or 9 when that came out, and my mom was like, let me take my daughter and all of her friends to see the Blair Witch Project, and I spent half the time in the bathroom hurling. So
see, I was 17 when Blair Witch came out, and I watched it with the girl who is now my wife. And that's probably the last time she went and saw a horror movie with me, though, because I think I broke her.
Nice. Well, just real quick, going back to the Chainsaw Awards, are there any live screenings in Los Angeles?
I don't know. I'd have to check where they are.
Where would one go? Let's start with that.
I mean, the show's recorded, so it's in the vault. But as of right now, the only one I know of that is like locked down is in New York.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And then switching back to Fantastic Fest, anything great that you want to mention that you saw?
Oh my God. I saw so many great movies. I think I saw almost 20 films total. And I think that I liked enough to watch them again, at least 14 of them. So
nice.
There's some really cool
stuff. What were the highlights?
A24 has A Different Man coming out, which I'm really excited about. Not specifically horror, but very much psychological thriller.
Which one's that? Has there been a trailer for that one?
Yes, and it's about the person with the facial disfigurement, and then
the Stan, Sebastian Stan movie. Yeah.
Yes. And every single person in that film is fantastic. The movie is fantastic. I can't wait to watch that again. Role of Jenny Penn with John Lithgow and Jeffrey Rush was also it was the first film we saw when we got there, and that was definitely in my top 3. So I'm excited about that. If you want to see John Lithgow get a little crazy again.
I always love John Lithgow and crazy John Lithgow especially.
Yeah. So I was really into that. I got to see the world premiere of Terrifier 3.
Ooh.
So if you like a lot of gore with a little holiday cheer sprinkled on top, you're going to love that.
That sounds
Maybe
perfect.
we might have to have you back next week because we're going to review that as well.
It was a lot of fun. That was also the first night of the festival? I think it was. So the festival's like 9 days or 8 days, and it felt like 6 months. So when I watched Terrifier 3, I was 6 months younger than I am now.
The one I wanted to ask you about, you got to see part of the Creep tapes, right?
Oh, that was my absolute favorite thing.
I love those movies.
Creep fan.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah, if you were very into how weird they got with it in Creep 2, you're in for more good stuff. So it goes full peach fuzz.
Real quick, for Terrifier 3, do we know the runtime? I mean, obviously you do, but is it longer or shorter than 2?
I think it's 2 hours.
Yeah, it's like 2. It might be 2 hours and 10 minutes. It's about the same length as the second one.
Yeah, I'm very strongly considering this Thursday. My AMC is doing a back-to-back double feature of 2 and 3. I'm not sure if I can handle that much. That's like 4.5 hours, but I kind of want to do it.
I mean, it's fun.
I like 2 a lot, so
yeah,
I could. If it was 1, 2, and 3, I probably wouldn't do it because I really don't like the first one. But I like 2 a lot, and so I think I might have to do that.
Well, I saw 2 at home. I think I liked it at my own pace while at home. I think in the theater, I probably would have been like, okay, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna see the third one in the theater. So
yeah.
This was the first. I think this was the first one I saw in a theater.
It will be for me.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like 2 had more moments in it that kind of lulled and could have.
It was long. It was really long.
Felt like continuous. They were like, "Well, we're going to make it the same length, but it's just going to be chock full of gore."
Okay.
I'll prepare myself.
Right. Anything else you want to plug from that?
Really cool movie that probably won't get as much publicity, and I hope it gets a release here, was Dead Talent Society. So take all of the Japanese ghost tropes and films and kind of give them a Tim Burton spin and apply it to modern time. And it's very funny and sweet and fun to watch, and it has some really cool haunting moments in it. But basically, when you die in Japan, you have to scare people or your ghost disappears. So it's about these ghosts trying to compete to stay relevant and stay undisappear themselves.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah, it was fun.
Okay. Any other Fangoria events, happenings you want to plug?
Well, we have the new issue out. If you're not a subscriber, it's the Terrifier 3 cover. So that is a really, really fun cover with Art in his full holiday getup, and subscribers got the amazing 40th anniversary Nightmare on Elm Street cover. Which
I'm checking my mailbox every day because I can't wait to see that one.
So usually, somehow, I work for them, and our editor-in-chief gets his like immediately. He gets it before everyone else. That makes sense, right? My friend that lives like 3/4 of a mile away from me gets his a week and a half before me. So I just got mine today.
Maybe I should go check again. Maybe it might be waiting out there for me right now.
Jody, we're not pausing the podcast for that.
Okay, no, it's fine. It's fine.
All right. Well, let's move on to this week's movie. We are covering the brand spanking new VHS Beyond, which by the time this comes out, will be out on Shudder. Luckily, we were able to get a screener digital copy. Thank you, Shudder PR or whoever marketing for sending that to us. Yeah, let's get into it. Jody, you know, when you do those anthology movies, you put in so much more work than you do normally. You have to synopsize over and over and over again. So, but these are all pretty relatively simple to describe stories. Then we'll get into each one. So
yeah, I don't think we have to get too detailed in the synopses, especially it's brand new. You know, give people a chance.
Yeah, but also just to talk about the VHS series for a quick minute. So yeah, the fact that we're on the 7th one of these, and I think I think I know you and I think that this might be one of the best ones in the whole series, is kind of amazing because we had 3 right off the bat from 2012 to 2014. VHS 1 and 2, I think, are real bangers. Viral has some moments. Yeah, two really hit that.
Great.
And then, but in Viral, had some moments, but isn't very good overall. And then out of nowhere, 7 years later, we get 94, 99, 85.
Mm-hmm.
Which again, I think are all just about as good as 2. The thing about these VHS movies, there's a very specific formula where like any anthology, you have some that are better than others.
Mm-hmm.
But there's usually 1 or 2 that are really, really good. And you have a couple are like, okay, that's a real big miss. And also the big thing about these series is that they're much more about the gimmick, not a gimmick, but like trying to find innovative ways to tell a first person found footage story and the effects than the acting or the actors. Like sometimes there's a couple that shine, but it's usually more about like, how can we do something different with this format?
Yeah.
But overall, I really enjoy this series. It's just kind of a warm comfort thing that, especially when it's coming out every year like this, something really fun to look forward to. Now, Kimberly, you said you have a different opinion.
They're just not for me.
Yeah.
I like found footage. I think we talked about a little bit earlier about I feel like they're made to make me sick on purpose. Like I take it very personally.
Sure,
like they're doing this to me. So, but there's some like of the shorts in each one that I actually really like. So it's not like a thing that I don't totally dislike the films. I don't go out of my way to watch them. Although I did go back to watch some of the ones that I didn't remember as well before we did this, just so I could.
Yeah, well, actually, that reminds me that our friends over at Dead Meat are covering the whole series, so it's been fun to revisit them over the last couple of weeks leading up to this one. So I've really enjoyed that, and also, yeah, these can really kind of test your patience. I think found footage in general will really test your patience because it has to kind of set up the world of how it's capturing this footage, and the fact it has to keep resetting after every segment. I can definitely see some people like, I don't have the patience for this.
My favorite ones are the ones that just pretty much jump into the action, and we'll get into that as we talk about these. But I love it when there's not a whole lot of like, okay, let's explain why we're here and why we have a camera.
If you spend like a quarter of your segment, a third of your segment getting to while you're recording, then you've already lost it. But I can definitely see how that might rub some people the wrong way if they don't have the patience for that. But yeah, okay, that's enough overall. But yeah, let's get into this one.
Okay, so the wraparound is called Abduction Adduction. It's kind of a mockumentary type thing. They've got some interviews with various people. To describe what happens in it, I mean, they're talking about UFOs, and there's a man who disappeared like in the 50s, 60s. Honestly, this was the part that like I paid the least attention to. It was all right. There was a cool like alien sequence towards the end, but they're trying to tell the story about somebody who got abducted, and they have some people there from Corridor Digital YouTube channel to be like, hey, look at this footage. How could they have faked this footage and that kind of stuff. I mean, not much happened, but it was kind of separate from the rest of the films as opposed to like the typical, like it leads into the movies. It was
right. Yeah, that was the weird thing. Like, I'll say off the bat that the wraparound is my least favorite part. Yeah, because usually in these movies, the wraparound tees up the next movie, even if it doesn't really tell you anything. But at least like someone's putting in the tape and pressing play. Here, they're just showing these segments really randomly while you're watching this other thing, and nothing really ties together why we're watching these. So I'm very confused on that. But I will say, I really love the Corridor crew guys. They have a YouTube channel. They're basically a digital effects house, and every week they have on their YouTube channel they do a little show where they look at good and bad effects from movies. You kind of critique them, and a lot of times they'll bring in visual effects artists to talk about that. I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to like how visual effects work. Like I don't understand like on a technical level. I couldn't do any of it, but I enjoy hearing about it and seeing kind of how the magic's made. And they do some fun stuff sometimes. Like one time they were watching a clip from the original Godzilla, and they're talking about how great it is. And it turns out that it wasn't actually a clip from the original movie. It was someone who digitally recreated all the miniatures and stuff and like recreated the whole thing. So that was that. Sometimes they show like independent short stuff, and sometimes they do all the big screen stuff. But anyway, seeing those real guys on there, I was like, I did the Leonardo DiCaprio thing when I jumped off my couch. I was like, oh, it's them, it's them. Yeah. So that was, I really like that just because I enjoy those guys. And I don't know if anyone else in that documentary was like a real person or like related to the actual field, or they're just actors, but at least it was cool seeing those guys in there.
Yeah. No, I did appreciate seeing them. And I just felt like it was kind of disconnected from everything else. And I honestly don't remember much about it because it was so just kind of like filler between the shorts.
I've watched that twice now, and I'm still just like, I'm not sure what that was because I couldn't connect with it.
Right.
Like when I watched it the second time, I was like, what is this before the first short starts? I was like, this wasn't, but it was there the first time I finally remembered.
Yeah. And the fact that, again, it didn't tee up any that we were watching a new short. It just, the short just started like someone like was just
because the whole thing was supposed to be a documentary, like exploring proof for the existence of aliens. There was like these 2 tapes or whatever. I think if they had like made all of these other shorts as part of it, like here's some evidence that we found, let's show you this first one.
Yeah.
Then it would have made sense and it would have all fit together, but it just didn't. It was kind of its own separate path that just was cut in between things.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where I thought they were going to go with it, but
yeah, me too.
But anyways, all right. Let's go to the first one.
All right. So on to the actual segments. Okay, I'm not going to tell you the name of this first one yet because it actually spoils the entire thing. So I'm just going to tell you what happens in it, and then we'll tell you the name of it.
Oh, and yeah, we're for anyone that doesn't know our show, we spoil, so everything's spoiled. So if you haven't watched it, go watch it.
Yeah, but in the first one, you have a group of like secret, like almost like rogue police officers who are out doing their own thing, and there's body cam footage, and there's also somebody recording it. Because they're trying to track down, there's been a string of babies disappearing. And they actually followed one of the people to a location, and now they're going to go like raid this location, see if they can find the babies. One of the guys in the crew had lost his baby, and the rest are like a bunch of different cops of different kinds. And so they find this dilapidated house and go inside, and there are all of these like zombie-like people, crazy looking effects and jumping out monsters, and we found out they all have a hole in the middle of their head with bandages over it, and then at one point they look in one of the zombies and there's no brain inside of the zombie, and eventually the segment is called Stork because we find out that there is a giant stork-like alien creature monster who is sucking the brains out of these people and feeding them to the babies. And it's the babies and stork. You get it. You get how it all comes together. But yeah, that's pretty much what happens here. They kill the stork thing at the end, but and then there's like, welcome to the crew. This is what we do. It's one of those paranormal type police things. But yeah.
All right, Kimberly, start us off.
I liked this one probably. This is probably my favorite. Maybe my second favorite out of them story-wise, and I liked the idea and how dark it is compared to the other ones. I mean, spoiler, no spoiler, but it was this is like the least alien-y one, but it's also like the most horror one for me. I don't love that it looks like a 90s video game.
Yeah.
most of it. It almost looks like when you try to like put a skin on your Sims in like 2001 and it just doesn't sit right. But I think it's practical effects for the most part. And it's like blended with the CG. So it's kind of a cool look, but it's also makes me detached from it watching it because it feels like it should look more organic. And then the stork monster is just big bird with mange. There's a lot to like there. I will say my favorite part is the head in the wall that's singing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
Yeah.
That was like, I was kind of lulling a little bit because I was getting a little nauseous, and then that happened and I was like sick, and then I went back to being nauseous again. So I found a lot to love in this one, even though I got kind of pulled out of it.
Yeah, I feel like we've seen this one in these like this type of segments was like a first person action shooter movie. And this is fine, but I think the other ones were a bit better. What I would have liked if it was more one shot, kind of like The Raid. I was really, it made me think of the movie The Raid, which is all one shot. I mean, obviously there's like cuts hidden, and maybe they don't have the budget to do that, but it's all dark. You can easily like hide cuts. So it was annoying me that they were switching cameras. Also, there was like music that was coming in. Like
with music, I noticed that. Like that did take me out of the whole like found footaginess of it.
Yeah, it felt, which made it feel way more like, made it feel like way more like a video game that I was watching someone else play.
Did you also feel like this one more than any of the other ones did go out of the found footage? Like I mean, like this film went out of the found footage setting more than the other ones do. It does it in the second short too. Where
I think Viral goes out of its way to be, but there's been some movies.
That's a little, that's also almost a little bit different, but I feel like this one like broke it accidentally more. It didn't feel as intentional where you were like, wait a minute, am I still watching found footage in certain spots?
Yeah. I mean, there's some good gore. There's some good zombie stuff happening. The stork is ridiculous, but kind of in a fun way.
Yeah. Kind of liked him.
I like
it. It's a good little button.
The look of the zombie type people, they were pretty cool too. I mean, again, they kind of look like cool characters in a video game, like that you would be mowing down. There's one with the chainsaw, you know.
Yeah, it felt like an early Resident Evil.
Yeah,
exactly.
But yeah, the chainsaw part was cool. But I just overall feel like I've seen this one before.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't bad. I didn't dislike it, but it was whatever.
There was one where there's like a mad doctor. I think it was in the 95 or 94 one, where he's like creating like a humanoid robot kind of thing, and this SWAT team comes in to try to take it. It made me think of that one. I thought that one was much better.
I think that was in 94.
Yeah. All right, so moving on. Right, and just to say, the wraparound was directed by Cheel, who did the Cursed Films series on Shudder. Okay. And Stork was directed by Jordan Downey. He's best known for Thanksgiving. So he's got a thing for demonic birds.
Yeah.
I didn't know that until after I watched it the first time. And I'm a Thanksgiving fan. I don't know. I think there's like 50 of us. But we're all really tight. So. But yeah, that was fun. The second one is the one that made me violently ill in the theater. So
the next one?
Yeah.
All right, Jody, go ahead.
Let's get into this one. This one is called Dream Girl, and it's about two paparazzi. Okay, first off, this one is set in India, and it is in Hindi on a Bollywood movie set, and so it is subtitled. Just a heads up. But there's two paparazzi who are sneaking behind the scenes of a Bollywood movie because there's this new celebrity out there who's kind of like out of nowhere. She's the biggest celebrity around, and they have the opportunity to sneak into her trailer and get some footage. And they go visit the set where she's filming. And while they are filming her inside of her trailer, he's like hidden in a closet. Her manager comes in and starts yelling at her and makes her cry. And so he feels bad, and he comes out of the closet, and which is, if you're a paparazzi, it seems like a pretty bad idea to just like walk out. And she was really calm about it. She's like, "Hey, do you want an autograph?" But
that was like almost more unsettling than the she.
Well, I think where you see where it goes in just a second, it's how it all fits together. But he says, like you don't have to listen to what this man says. You can be anything you want to be. And she's like, "Oh, can you say that again?" It's like, "You can be anything you want to be." And she's like, "Oh, that's great." And she pulls off her face. She's a robot lady. And then she just goes on a rampage, murdering everybody in the area. And that's the rest of the short, is just murder and mayhem from this robot lady who's shooting lasers and tearing people up.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one, I like it when they go to different settings. So, it was fun to go to a different country. The setup I was down with, but again, they're showing her music video shoot, and they're switching between their cameras and what the cameras for the music video are showing, which again, like you were saying, really kind of took me out of the found footage-ness of it. And then once the rampage starts, I'm like, okay, this is fun, but they kept going, and I'm like, okay, this is got a little repetitive, monotonous towards the end. I thought they could have done something more interesting, or it could have kind of ended at the first couple kills. Like they were trying to pull like a Carrie where everyone's like trapped in this warehouse, but she just kind of went around and just, I don't know, made people explode. Like, but it was so dark you couldn't really see all the good parts. This might have been, it had a lot of potential, but this is probably the biggest misfire for me.
Yeah, I didn't expect like the full-blown Bollywood video in the middle of it where you watch almost the whole thing. Like,
I
scared.
I get what you're saying there about it taking you out, because it was, again, when I watch a found footage movie, I really want it to be like one take the entire time. Like that's what's, makes me feel like I'm in it, and so it cuts over to the other camera. It was again, just like the first one. I'm like, yeah, it was fine. Like I didn't dislike it, and I'll probably watch this again and be fine with watching this one. But the whole time I'm watching those first 2 segments, I'm going to be waiting for the last 3 segments, which is where we're about to go in a minute.
Right. Yeah. The first 2 segments, where I was kind of like, okay, this is kind of middling. They're very mid.
Yeah.
I do like this trend. The trend of 2024 in horror really is like the pop star horror, because we have Trapped, we have this, we have Smile 2 coming up. So I don't know if it's the Taylor Swift effect that now horror movies have to have like a Taylor Swift-esque pop star.
The Substance.
I haven't seen The Substance yet, but yeah. So I don't know who had that on their bingo card, but that's that's where we are now. But yeah, it's fine. It's not bad at all. I wish at one point she's like, I want your face or something like that. So I thought she was gonna like, and she eventually rips off some faces, but I thought they would play into that a bit more. I thought like she was gonna take over his perspective or something. I thought they could have been a little more imaginative with that setup than just having her go around and just ripping people up.
I liked the reveal, where she's like, oh, I can be anything I want to be, and rips her face off.
Yeah.
But that felt like the climax, and then there's just like a whole lot afterwards, like
like they really could have drawn out the suspense and just had that be the big bang at the end.
Yeah.
Plus, they have the face soaking in the closet, like face. I was like, how does that work? Because she had to actually rip that one off, like it was a full skin suit. So I was like, what's the other face do?
Yeah,
they didn't give me enough about the face. I wanted to know more.
Yeah, I think this script could use a couple more drafts.
Yeah. All right. But now we're going to get into this. This is where, up until this point, I'd been watching the movie, kind of going, "All right, this is fine. Like this is, it's a okay VHS entry." But this next segment, okay,
I do have to say, on the second one, I was sitting next to the Fangoria creative director, Jason Keslerick, and he is like really into like gore and stuff. And I was like, he's going to think I'm a wimp because I'm going to run out the door. And I ran out the door, and I didn't get any flack for it. But in that moment, I was like, oh my God, this is not the person that I want to run out the door while I'm sitting next to. So that was funny. My little anecdote.
I think I'd have difficulty being around all of those people, because it'd be like, all these people are so cool. And like, if I don't like something, what am I like, All right. But
can attest they are very cool.
Oh, sure. All right. Segment number 3, though. This felt really like a found footage to me. There was one camera the entire time. And you just jump right in. There's a group of friends up on a plane. They're getting ready to go skydiving. The name of the segment's Live and Let Dive, which is the name of the like skydiving company. And they're on there, and everyone's like, hey, we're all here for your birthday. And you're passing around the camera, and then they put, I guess it's like a GoPro or something. They put it on the main guy, and he's there with his wife, and he's nervous, but he's willing to do this because all his friends are really into it. And just when they're getting ready to dive, they look out the window and they see a UFO. And first it's kind of like, hey, did you see that? And it kind of glances it, and then you get a better look at it. And about that time, like you see jets, like fighter jets fly by. And somewhere in the middle of it all, the plane that they're on explodes. It gets shot by either the UFO or the fighter jets or whatever, and it explodes. And so then you have a long segment of dude falling, can't get his parachute open. It all feels like they actually shot someone falling out of a plane. Like it feels very like immediate and real.
I wouldn't be surprised if they really had someone go out of a plane. Boston wouldn't be surprised if it's all just like someone on like a gimbal being like,
yeah.
But what's cool in that segment is that like he's kind of like as he's like turning and around and around and around, you can see like his friends like kind of fall, like getting ripped to pieces in the sky, or like their parachute isn't opening right, or they get hit by something.
And then his parachute eventually opens, but like really late, so he still hits the ground hard, but not enough that it kills him. He's got his friend strapped to his back, and he's been talking to his friend. He gets up out of the harness and turns around. His friend's head is like ripped off, and like this is where you can really see the gore too. Like they're showing you all of it. You see people like splatting down to the ground in the background. And then there's this big, long, spider-like alien creature that's skittering around, and we go into a long chase scene in like an orange grove. So they're running between these rows of orange trees while this alien is just attacking people left and right. And then when he gets a hold of somebody, he uses his face opens up, and he uses a beam to like rip their face off. It's just great. It's just great. It's so much fun. The guy makes it to like a farmer who he tries to get in his truck, and the farmer threatens to shoot him, but the alien kills the farmer. And then just as he's getting ready to drive away, he starts getting beamed up into the spacecraft, and you see the truck and everything else rising up into the sky, and then the footage gets all scrambled and cuts off. But man, this one's awesome. This one's so much fun.
Yeah.
This one was my favorite.
Mine too.
Easily.
The parachute decapitated scene you mentioned is like one of my favorite things in a VHS film. That was just, I was like, this is what I'm here for.
Yeah.
It's so cool. But
the CG alien looked pretty cool. It was a cool design.
They're like little scorpion monster aliens are really fun.
Well, and then there's a bit once he's like kind of landed and got his bearings, suddenly all the debris from the plane starts falling.
Yeah.
That part like freaked me out because especially the sound design, there's just like all this stuff just like shoo, shoo, shoo. That was really cool. And then his friends just getting picked off left and right. You can see again, I like it in the background, we kind of see people just kind of fall. And, like, their arm is like all mangled or whatever.
Our editor-in-chief went skydiving the next day. So they were watching this. He didn't come to the screening with us, and I was watching this, and I was like, oh no, Phil. But everything's fine. No alien abductions or anything to report that I know of. But I was thinking about that the whole time, because this one was, like you said, it really felt like somebody really jumped out of a plane, and the sound design was really authentic on it.
Yeah. This is what I want from found footage. It felt like you were there for it, and that's exactly what I want it to be.
Yeah, and again, it's innovative. We've never seen this in a VHS movie or any other found footage. And that's why one out of these movies is, we've seen so many found footage, so many of these segments. Show me something new, and this definitely delivered on that.
Yeah. I feel like talking about this one, I'm gonna like go into Chris Farley mode and just be like, remember when that happened? That was awesome.
Yeah, well, that's the point. That's what we want out of these movies. It's just like those moments of awesomeness. And I forgot them again. I'm falling behind, but the Dream Girl episode segment was directed by Virat Paul. The only thing of note, at least as his IMDb goes, a movie called Recapture. But this one, Live and Let Dive, was directed by Justin Martinez, who I guess used to be part of Radio Silence, like in the original crew. So he did a segment in Southbound, and also he did in the original VHS, the 10/31/1998 segment, where the guys go to the part, or looking for a party at the house, and shit goes down. So you can tell like he's really knows how to do this well.
Yeah. Southbound's underrated too, by the way. Like if you're looking for a good anthology, I like Southbound a lot.
I can't remember. I might not have seen that one. I remember
there's a self-surgery scene where a dude has to like be talked through surgery while someone's on the phone with him. I remember that one like really standing out. It's good stuff.
Nice. But yeah, I mean, it's this is a very easy, straightforward, done really, really well segment. That's usually the best in these.
Yeah. All right. It just keeps going. So our next segment is called Fur Babies, and a group of animal rights activists are trying to investigate this woman who runs a doggy daycare because when her dogs have died, she has had them taxidermied and has them displayed, and they're like, oh, she's this horrible person for doing this. We're going to expose her and expose her whole doggy daycare. And so two of them go in with a hidden camera trying to infiltrate this place and find out more. And again, this is one of those where it cuts back and forth between different cameras and whatever. What happens here is crazy enough that I'm actually okay. I'm forgiving on this one because they end up down in the basement, and the lady knocks both of them out. And then you discover that she's not just taxidermying dogs. She's taking the pieces from these dogs and putting them onto people, like surgically attaching paws and jaws and teeth to make these human dog hybrid creatures skittering around on all four. Man, it's great. The other animal rights activists come to try to save their friends, and then two more of these dog human hybrids come out and attack them. And just watching them move around with their little like half dog, half personness. So this is directed by Justin Long and his brother Christian Long. And I know I felt like a little bit of Tusk was sneaking through in all this for sure.
100%.
Ah, man, it's great.
Yeah, this is one I hate to love, but because the idea of someone doing that is like really disturbing me. Like I remember when Tusk first came out, just hearing about it and seeing the trailer and the first pictures, like disturbing on a very visceral level. So it freaks me out, but when it's done, it's like so fucking cool.
Yeah.
I love Tusk, and this was the segment in the film that like was the one you just didn't expect at all.
Yes,
is always fun, but it's shot a little differently. Like a warm kind of campy look to it when you watch it, and it made me giggle the whole time I watched it.
Yeah, totally.
Disgusting and wonderful.
Yeah. Well, and one thing I said at the beginning is that these movies aren't really known for acting. They're the more, for the camera shots and the effects. But the woman who plays the owner, Becky, is fantastic. She's like channeling Kathy Bates in Misery. Yeah. And I'm here for it. I thought that was fantastic. Just a shout out to her. Her name is Libby Letlow. She's been in a bunch of like TV stuff, but the biggest thing she's been in is Big Little Lies. And I would love a spinoff with her because a couple of these segments have been spun off in their own things. I could watch that character and that actress as much as I hate the movie because it's just so freaky. But
I just love watching the dog people move because they're like, it's the way little kids crawl before they learn to crawl on their knees. It's like hands and feet, like bear crawling and running at that speed as a full-grown adult, covered in fur with a dog mouth. Like it's just so fun to watch. It's silly and ridiculous, but creepy in a way. Like I really like it.
It's uncanny. It's like
Yeah, because they do this in a way that's like completely creepy.
Yeah. Well, they do this cool thing where they set up that they have that in her like promo video. She says that she has collars with cameras on them, so you can see what your pet sees while they're here. But then they put those on the hybrids, and so you can see like those POVs. So which again, you get what it is, but you don't have to see too much of it because I'm sure if we saw like big hero shots, we're like that looks stupid. But because it's all done so quickly or from their perspective, we don't actually get to see that much of it, and that just makes it even creepier. And I love that little button on the end where there's a porch pirate where like someone's like stealing a package off her porch and one of the dogs comes out and attacks the guy. That was cool. I really like that.
I think it comes so unexpected that you don't even have time to like think about it too hard. Like it's just so ridiculous once it starts going that I'm on that ride at that point.
I think what really stuck with me too toward the end is that lingering shot of the girl's face up close when she's being eaten by the dog.
Yeah.
It's a very funny shot because she's like, ah, just lingers on her face a little bit longer than you'd expect.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
Yeah. And again, this is Justin Long, the actor, and his brother Christian Long. He's done the ton. He did a movie called Lady of the Manor, which is some sort of horror comedy from what I can tell. I'm not familiar with it, but I'm like, I'd watch another movie with these guys. I thought they did a very good job with it. So
yeah. I mean, I'm an unapologetic Justin Long fan. Like, I love him as an actor.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's the highlight of just about anything he's in. So seeing him, getting to write and direct and do that, like, it was just like, oh, good for him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is, at least as far as IMDb goes, this is his first directing credit. So hats off to him. And he has a new movie with the Barbarian team called Companion. The first trailer came out this week. It looks really interesting.
Yeah.
Intense.
All right, take us home.
All right, our final segment. Normally I don't start with the director, but I had to for Justin Long. I have to with this one too, because this one is directed by Kate Siegel and written by Mike Flanagan. It's her directorial debut. Mike wrote it. They're wonderful people who, I just love everything they do. So this one is called Stowaway. And in this one, a woman sets out to document there's these strange lights above the Mojave Desert. And you get little glimpses of some backstory. She has, some difficulty with her family, but she's out there to try to prove that these things are real. And one of the lights goes down and she follows it and finds this organic type alien craft that opens up, and she goes into it. And she's filming around in there. It's very dark. You can't see things very well, but there are these long cords that you can kind of pluck like a guitar string. They're also very sharp. So she plucks one of them and it causes something to happen in the ship, but it also cuts her finger. So these tiny little nanobots fly down from the ceiling and instantly repair her finger. But as she's in there, the alien comes back. We never actually see a good look at it, but it comes back and closes it up. And she again tries to like pluck one of the things, and whatever she does causes the ship to take off. And the nanobots again fix her finger. But then when the ship takes off and blasts into space, she gets just exploded in there because she gets knocked around so much. And the nanobots try putting her back together, but they're not used to human physiology. And so they end up making her into some kind of thing as they try to heal her. And again, she gets kind of like broken up again as the ship blasts again. And so she's up in space, mutilated, and I think probably dead. And they like revive her by putting her back together. So I don't even think she can die at the end. I think she is just the nanobots are going to continue bringing her back to life. But yeah, it's super cool. It's another one of those. It's like, it starts with a cool concept of let me explore this spaceship. And then by the end, it's all about the nanobots, like restructuring her physical body. It's really, really cool. Really interesting. Well acted too. Yeah.
This one is the very like dreamlike segment. Yeah. And it made me wish I did drugs. I was like, this is fun. But it's super, super pretty compared to the other ones.
Yeah.
And toward the end, it's like somebody involved in the design was on drugs, because it's crazy to watch the disembodied parts and stuff.
Yeah, it's I know, again, I feel bad for bashing some of the acting in some of these earlier, but again, the actress Alana Pierce, who's mostly known for video game journalism and some video game voiceover stuff, she gives a great performance here as well. Great. It's only her really. I mean, she like runs into a couple people for like a moment, but other than that, it's really her. And then we see like these clips of the videotape she's taping over. I think it's her daughter, like her daughter's birthday. So like she's suffering really bad. And like as soon as the second time I see the nanobots, I'm like, oh no, this is gonna be bad. You get the idea, because like, why are they bringing this up a second time? Like first time, like okay, that's cool, but you see a second time, like oh no. You kind of know where this thing. It's very The Fly, where he just keeps getting like more and more changed. It also felt very much like a Tales from the Crypt segment.
Oh yeah.
Like this again. Supposedly Mike Flanagan is a big Tales from the Crypt fan, and I'd love to have him on the show someday if anyone's listening that knows him. And it feels very much like that, like someone who just like oversteps the bounds of what they should really be doing, and their ambition gets the most of them, and they pay for it in a very horrific way.
Yeah. And you get some Flanagan touches in there in his writing, you know, the whole thing about like her daughter who she's like abandoned to go do this thing. You don't get details, but enough to go like, okay, so something's happening here. There's some trauma at home and she should be taking care of her daughter, but she's out here. Like that feels very Flanagan, you know, just like sadness and family. And then the other two segments that I really enjoyed in this, I'm like, these are wild and crazy and fun. This one, you know, it's wild and crazy, but it also is sad at the end. Like you feel like bad for this lady. But I really enjoyed it. I think Kate Siegel did a great job directing it too, especially the first time. And it's a true found footage too. It's one camera for the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's actually what my cats are fighting. I'm so sorry. But that's exactly how I feel, is that what you're saying about the Flanagan like family thing. Also just like having that preview into the backstory, but not getting all of it is also like true to what I want in found footage, like where you feel like you're just catching something as it goes by. So yeah, for being a directorial debut, I mean, obviously she's around film enough that she has the knowledge, but just really, really exceptionally well done. This is another one that it probably could be a longer film, and I would watch the hell out of it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting, like the reaction of her family when she goes missing. You know, there could be a lot more, and like, you know, what are these aliens? There's a lot. It's very fertile ground. But yeah, no, she does a great job of directing. I hope she directs some more. Yeah, so overall, again, I think this might be the best overall VHS movie, as far as like there's none that are like gratingly bad, because it seems like there's usually at least one that's just like, oh, that was really rough. Some, like I said, the first two are okay. They're not bad at all. They're just not great, but these last three, yeah, they really knocked them out of the park one after another.
I definitely learned while we were talking that I think getting seasick in that second segment convinced me I didn't like the film, but as I'm talking about it, I'm like, no, I really like that, and I really like that too.
Yeah.
This film.
Did you watch the other ones in the theater or at home?
I'm trying to remember. It's a lot of them.
Yeah, like if you are motion sensitive, I'm wondering if watching them at home allows you to enjoy them more than the theater.
It does. So that's what I think we were off camera when I was talking about that, but maybe not. But when I watch it on a big screen and nothing around my vision is like stabilized, it makes it worse. But I think I watched one other one in the theater and I can't remember what it was. And I don't think I actually like actively looked at it. I had to look at the floor.
Yeah.
But if it's on a TV and it's smaller and I can kind of have something anchored off the side, it makes a big difference. Just a tip for people with motion sickness.
Tips for film footage.
Yeah. So it sounds like we're kind of unanimous that the Live and Let Die is our all-around favorite.
Yeah.
And probably Dream Girl might be at least I thought it was my least favorite. It's not bad, but not saying it's bad. But
yeah,
I think so. The last three were all bangers, but I think Live and Let Die was just the most fun for me. Like I just really loved it. Dream Girl was probably the lowest point, but again, it was fine. It just wasn't right.
Yeah,
like
it's one.
Story.
Yeah. I think you just need another couple of drafts to get it right.
Yeah.
But
maybe just trim it up a little bit.
Yeah, because I mean, I think in each of the other VHS segments, there's definitely one that like, what was that? That was not.
Yeah, and most anthologies in general, there's always that one, but there was none that I just hated.
Yeah, I'm just driving this home over and over, but I was sick for like 6 or 7 hours because of Dream Girl, so I might have some personal issues with that. I was really happy when the girls I was staying with wanted to go home. I was like, oh, thank God, I need to lay down.
Oh my God.
I survived, and I watched it again because I don't give up.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate you putting yourself through this a second time.
obviously had fun with it.
All right. All right, let's do our rating. I guess we already rated our favorites. But let's do, 0 out of 5, 5 being the best, 0 being the worst. You can do half points. Jody.
I think I'm gonna give this one a solid 4 out of 5. The first ones are a little slow to get going, but I think like if it was just the last 3, I'd be like 5 out of 5. I love all those, but four I think is a solid number on this one.
Yeah, I'm going 4 as well. Again, also the wraparound just was very ill conceived, but I might put this on my top 10.
Oh yeah,
I have to think about it, but I just really enjoyed it once it got going.
I'm curious where you guys rank it out of the other VHS films, but I think I also put this at a 4, maybe a 3.5, just because the wraparound, and then the second one that I can't look at. But I think 4 is a safe vibe.
Yeah,
I really want to go back and rewatch so I can kind of like get a good idea of where this fits in the whole thing.
This I really do think this might be the overall best of the VHS movies. If only the wraparound was better, or like just the editing is just weird in it. I don't know quite what it is, but
I think the hard thing for me trying to rank them is because I only remember the ones I really like for the most part. Like VHS 2, the one with the cult, like is such a banger that it's I remember liking the rest of it, but I love that one. And so it's Ratma in '94. I can't remember what the other segments are, so I kind of blocked out the bad ones, and so I need to go back and like try to actually like think of them as a whole.
Yeah, a lot of them I can't remember the differences between 94 and 99. But I do. But as Alex is coming out of this movie, I was like, okay, that's probably the best complete VHS movie.
Sure.
Like the cult one might be the best segment of the entire series, but it's one of those like peaks and valleys kind of situations. Where I think on the average on this one is much higher than any of the others. All right. Well, I think it's now time for a shout out.
Hey there, John Harrison here, and you're listening to Dads from the Crypt.
Nice.
Yeah, I figured with the anthology master fit this, with the Tales from the Dark Side.
Yeah.
That's some good John Harrison. All right. Mono's not here for Song of the Day. And when it's up to me to do some of these, I just do a free association in my head. I just let myself just think about what's in these, the content of these, and just what song just pops in my head. But let me just go back for a minute to, the year, I think it was like 98, 99. I was in high school. And, there's a club in Portland, Oregon, where I used to live called La Luna that did a lot of the alternative grunge bands. I think I don't remember exactly the sequence, but I know I saw like Nerf Herder, That Dog, Blur, and then I saw this other band called the Bloodhound Gang there. And this was again where they had the Fire Burn song come out. It was kind of their one little radio hit that we're all kind of into. Like, okay, cool. And back in the day, for those that don't remember, you used to have to sign up for these mailing lists, like the fan club mailers that you would get to find out the latest news on your band. They didn't have social media back then, obviously. So you would like put your name and your address, and then they would send you like a newsletter. What's our band up to? What's our next album, or what's our next tour, whatever. So I signed up for the Bloodhound Gang mailing list. Like a year later, or whatever it was, they sent a postcard to my house. On the front, there are 3 cheerleaders without tops on. But it has one of those scratch off things over their nipples. So you have to scratch it off to find out what it says. And my mom sees this. It's like, what are you doing? Once I convince her, it's like, no, it's a band thing, whatever. And you scratch it off and it says, "Hooray for Boobies."
Yep.
Which is the name of the next Bloodhound Gang album, which has the classic song, classic music video, "The Bad Touch."
Yep.
Which is our song of the week. And for those that don't know, I highly suggest you go look at the music video because it is something. It features the band in these big rat costumes running around Paris and all kinds of animal shenanigans, which made me, when I thought about the Fur Baby segment, this is the first song that came to my head.
As soon as you said the Bloodhead Gang, I knew where you were going with all this.
With the chorus that says, "You, me, baby, ain't nothing but mammals. So let's do it like they do on the Discovery Channel."
And
yeah, I'm not going to read the rest of the lyrics, but again, if you're not familiar with them, go look up the YouTube video. It's I think it's a music video classic. It was on MTV a lot back in the day.
Incredible.
Yes. And again, just because I like to fuck around with our song list, putting Bloodhound Gang on there feels really appropriate to me.
Yeah.
And that, again, is our song of the day.
Mondo must listen to these episodes or at least hear about them and just think, what happens when I'm not around?
You think Mondo listens to this when he's not here? All right, Jody, give us some horror news.
All right. I want to start with sad news just to go ahead and get it out of the way. Chucky has been canceled. There is no season 4 of Chucky, and that is truly sad news because that show is really good. And I really hate that they're not coming back for a 4th season, especially when I read some interviews with Don Mancini and Brad Dourif, and they were like, he's got great ideas for this next season. But Chucky may die, but he never stays dead. And so Don Mancini has said he will come back in some form, which he always does. But I am very sad about that because I really enjoyed that series. It was a lot of fun.
They did get to do what Stuart Gordon never got to do, and that was take his character to the White House, though. And I think that's an accomplishment. We never got Herbert West in the White House, but we did get Chucky in the White House.
Yeah. Yeah, I it's one of those series that I went into with high hopes, and they actually were met and exceeded in a lot of ways. I hope Devin Sawa continues to be part of the Chucky-verse because he's now in it repeatedly over and over. I'm sad that it's not going to get another season, but we did get at least 3, and they are 3 really good seasons. There's some great slashery moments. There's some like really good character moments. There's still, I won't spoil it, but there's still one death that just absolutely devastated me in this series. It's really well done. So I'm glad we got what we got. I wish we got more, but Chucky will return. He always does.
Judy, I'm gonna have to step away for just a quick moment, so just keep going.
Okay. I'll go free form here. All right. So other things to talk about with news. Let's talk about some releases because it's October, and so there's stuff coming out all the time. The new Salem's Lot that had been delayed has finally come out on Max today. Yeah, today, brand new. I haven't seen it yet, but I have heard some people say it's got some really 70s vibes. I'm looking forward to checking it out. I'm
a big fan of the miniseries. I'm a big fan of the story.
Yeah, me too.
Heard from trustworthy sources. If something had happened and you two couldn't show up tonight, that was what it was on my list because I love it so much. But I heard, that it had a worthwhile finale to it. So still gonna watch it. Heard it wasn't like what we wanted it to be, though.
Yeah, fair enough. But I'm still gonna. I'm excited to check it out.
Yeah.
Other things that are coming out. The Platform 2 is coming out this Friday. I never watched The Platform, but I've heard a lot of people say it's really good and they really like it. So I'm down to check out this one and the first one. I just need to get around to it. There's too many things out there. Justin Long, we mentioned earlier, he's got another movie coming out on digital outlets on October 4th called Spin the Bottle. And so more Justin Long. I don't know anything else about it, but that's enough to get me to watch it. Another thing that has just recently come out on Adult Swim, the first episode of the Uzumaki anime series has released. And I haven't watched the whole episode yet. I've watched just some little pieces of it, and it is awesome looking. It is Junji Ito like on screen for the first time. I think the first time they've really captured that. It looks incredible.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's absolutely gorgeous. I watched it the other day, and I was really, really just visually fed by watching it.
Yeah.
But it's like, this is great.
He's got such a distinct style, and they've tried to adapt it to anime multiple times, but I feel like this has been the best version of that.
I am one of the people that's a fan of the live action they tried to make, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The 2000 was it?
Yeah, I
remember that one.
Mixed fan feelings, but I love that film. I love Junji Ito, but I was really excited about this episode. It was awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited for more of it. And you get 4 full episodes. So, we're only a quarter of the way through. Another movie, I think, just got announced, but it's coming out on October 30th, called Time Cut. And the plot sounds very familiar because it sounds like the plot to Totally Killer that came out last year. Teenage girl travels back to the early 2000s to stop a vicious killer from murdering her sister. But I did see where somebody had said today that this movie was actually in production for a lot longer than Totally Killer. It was in production first. And so it's just one of those coincidences of time where 2 movies were both being made at the same time about the same plot, roughly the same plot. But this is the early 2000s instead of the 80s. So, that makes me feel old, but going back in time, I've seen it said it's like a mix of Scream and Back to the Future. So I like those movies.
Maybe there'll be a Bloodhound Gang reference.
Sure, all right. I'm sad Mondo can't be here for this one because I'm sure he would have more to say about it. But I just want to mention that Grindhouse Releasing is going to be putting out a 4K of Lucio Fulci's The Beyond, and it's a 4-disc set. Like, it's huge, packed full of special features. That's a must buy.
Yes.
And speaking of must buys for me, another 4K, Silent Night, Deadly Night is coming to 4K this year with the paperback novelization included. So somebody's actually written a paperback version of Silent Night, Deadly Night, and this is exactly my kind of trash. I love that movie, and so I'll get it in 4K, and I'll read the book too because, of course, I will. But yeah, lots of new stuff coming around. It's October. There's spooky stuff in every corner if you look for it right now. So.
There is a trailer came out this week for a movie called Mickey 17 by Bong Joon-ho, who did Parasite and The Host and Snowpiercer. And it looks kind of like Moon, where there's like different clones kind of competing with each other, but they're all Robert Pattinson going like insane.
Okay.
And I'm like
excited about that one.
I know. I saw that. I'm like, that looks really good. That guy, like, just put him in a room by himself and just let him go ham, and I'll watch it.
I did forget to mention the weirdest film I saw, A Fantastic Fest. Do you want to hear about it?
Yeah, please.
Exclusively because you said Monkey 17.
I know what you're about to say.
Oh, is it that biopic movie?
Yeah, it's the Robbie Williams Better Man. And for absolutely no reason other than that it is a very unoriginal pop star story, the entire time Robbie Williams is himself, but also just motion cap monkey.
Yeah.
The entire film. It's not addressed. You're just like, that's Robbie Williams. He's a monkey. If you wanted to know if you have to see the monkey do sexual things, yes, you do. And just totally, it was a secret screening. And I'm a big Robbie Williams fan. I was sitting next to Amber T, who is one of our staff writers at Fangoria, who's amazing, but she's from England. And she was freaking out because, Robbie Williams over there is like Justin Timberlake here. We were singing and dancing, and sometimes you forget he's a monkey, but it's goes everywhere you never wanted a monkey to go.
Incredible. But I was wondering, is the rest of the movie done straight and it just happens to have a monkey in it, or is the rest of the movie kind of zany?
It breaks out into little musical numbers that are impossible, but the story is just told as a regular story where Robbie Williams is a monkey.
Okay. Because
for no reason.
Because I absolutely loved the Weird Al movie with Daniel Radcliffe last year, where like it's all that's completely made up. It's all bullshit. It's really funny. I really like that movie.
No, this is the straightest like pop star rise and fall and rise again story you could imagine if they were also a chimp.
Yeah.
I don't get it, but I kind of want to watch it.
I know.
It's pretty good. It's pretty well made.
Someone commented like these Planet 8 movies are going really really different places.
The effects in it are exceptional. Like it really is very, very visually compelling monkey time. It's just the whole time you're like, what the fuck am I watching?
Monkey business. Yeah, do we talk about that? There's a new Monkey Shines movie coming out, directed by Osgood Perkins.
Yeah, I don't remember if we mentioned that before or not, but yeah, that
just made me think of that.
Definitely looks interesting.
More monkey content.
And Ryan Coogler, actually, I got invited to a screening for Ryan Coogler's new movie with Michael B. Jordan. Looks pretty. I saw the trailer. Looks very interesting, so that could be cool.
Lots of stuff coming out.
Yeah, it's October. We're going to be
and
then Smile 2.
The Monkey Shines movie doesn't come out until next year, does it?
I think early next year. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like February or something.
When I was a kid, I was a big fan of the original film. I used to show it to kids at sleepovers all the time. So.
I remember when I was a kid, that VHS cover scared the shit out of me.
Oh yeah,
the little
it's terrifying
symbol clanging monkey.
But with the razor blade, monkey with the razor blade is always a good thing in a movie. What's the Phenomena? The Dario Argento movie. There's just for some reason a monkey with a razor blade at the end of it. It's a classic moment of cinema.
Yeah, they're like, you had enough bugs. Here's monkey with a razor blade.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as we wrap up, Kimberly, since the last episode you're on was more of a straight movie, this is your first anthology movie for us. I was wondering if you could tell us what your favorite anthology movies are.
I think my favorite thing in the whole world is anthology TV shows. I know we were just talking about Tales from the Dark Side, but like I spend more time watching those, like Night Gallery and those types of things, than I do watching movies, probably. So I have to say that that's probably takes up a majority of my time. I love the Tales from the Dark Side movie. But I think it's my attention span, but I love anthology series.
No, I still say especially the wraparound in Tales from the Dark Side is amazing with
with Debbie Harry.
Yeah.
But I love anthology TV horror too, because you can take it in little bites. Like here's a 30-minute episode instead of have to settle in and watch a movie for a while.
And some of those tell like these impactful stories that is just like completely amazing that they get it that short. There's a lot of episodes from Tales from the Dark Side that just never leave you. I love the one with the family that takes in the hitchhiker and they put her in the hot tub. And they're cooking her. I think it's called Guess Who's Coming to Dinner or something like that. I can't even remember now. It's one of my favorites. I remember being a little kid and just being like, oh my God, don't trust people that they're going to cook you. I just assumed everybody was going to cook you if they picked you up when I was a kid. So.
Well, probably true though. And for those that want more Tales from the Dark Side, we did a whole episode on the movie and an interview with John Harrison. So you check that out in our backlog. Kimberly, do you have any favorite Tales from the Crypt episodes you want to shout out?
I can't ever remember anything's name when I'm on a podcast, but I love the one with Meatloaf and Judd Nelson in the diner and Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, What's Cooking? Yeah.
That's another one. Cooking people. I have a thing about cannibals, I guess. I did when I was little. I wrote a little short story about cannibals because I read Bluebeard when I was like in 3rd grade. And my teacher loved it. And they put it through the little school publishing thing where they give you the spiral bound thing. And my principal didn't love it so much. But I think I had a cannibal thing when I was a kid. And now I'm starting to see why.
Do you want to hear a fun story from that episode?
Yes.
So again, we're friends with Al Katz and Gil Adler, the producers. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Gil Adler directed that one too. Anyways, when they cast Meatloaf, they wanted, big, hefty guy that they would make steaks out of. What they didn't know is that, they cast him. They didn't really like bring him in or anything. They just they did over the phone. He had actually lost a ton of weight around that time. So when he showed up, he was being more svelte than they wanted. They're like, crap. So they had to make him a bodysuit. And they already made like a full-size body dummy for the one that's hanging in the freezer. It's like, crap, we got to make sure that he fits. So, like, imagine how degrading that must have been. He was really pissed.
Yeah, we thought we were going to be heavier. We're disappointed now.
Yeah, we want heavy Meatloaf, not light Meatloaf. So they had to like make a bodysuit real quick and pad him up for his actual shot, so it could match the dummy they already made to be sliced up. Yeah, that's a story that always just kind of makes me laugh. Also he complained about the size of his penis on the body double. Yeah, like, come on, guys. Like, it's cold. What are you gonna do?
Well, and that was on an old CRT TV, and no one's seeing the details.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, like, okay, if they ever remaster in HD, then they weren't planning on that. All right, Kimber, since we're also probably not gonna have a chance to have you back on before Halloween, do you have any spooky season plans or anything big happening you want to mention? I'm just jealous of how cool you are.
I'm doing so much with the Fangoria community virtually with subscribers a month, which I'm really looking forward to. We have some stuff we haven't announced yet. So if people aren't familiar or you haven't listened to the last episode I'm the community manager. But if you're a subscriber, we have a virtual community that Jody and Mondo are both in. And I'm also, if you're in Philly, there's a restaurant here called Monster Vegan where I'm going to. They show monster movies and they have a monster themed menu that's also vegan. I'm also vegan. I feel like they made this restaurant for me, but they've confirmed that's not true. But I'm doing horror themed quizzo there. I think the third Monday of the month. So that should be exciting. I'm going to host that for them.
That's awesome.
Every month or just this month?
This is the first month, but it will be most likely every month going forward. It's hard to schedule me because I'm all over the place, but they're very patient and kind.
Well, again, we appreciate you taking the time to come on our show for the second time. Maybe we'll have you back on for some Tales from the Dark Side episodes.
Would love that. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, that wraps up another episode. Again, Kimberly, where can people find you, follow you, etc.?
If you're not in the Fangoria community because you're not a subscriber, you can also find me on Instagram and Twitter at my very silly TLC themed handle, Crazy Sexy Ghoul. So, yeah.
That's one of those things every time I read that, it makes me kind of chuckle.
I'm glad. A lot of people, I think, just think I'm like a narcissist that's also a little weird. But it is a TLC album. Educate yourselves if you don't know.
Don't go chasing those waterfalls. All right. Next week will probably be a very terrifying episode if all goes well into plan. It's also Jody's birthday week, so that means you all have to show up. We appreciate everyone for listening. We'd really appreciate it if you'll give us a rating or review on iTunes. And actually, we haven't had a rating in a couple months, so what are you waiting for, guys? Come on. Yeah, come on.
If you want to, whatever.
Please. A rating on Spotify. Like and subscribe on YouTube, and follow us at Dads from the Crypt Talk on TikTok. And with that, we thank you for listening to Dads from the Crypt.
Follow Dads from the Crypt on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or I will follow you to the grave. No, seriously, you really should watch. But be careful what you ask for. You may get it.